This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Friday, the 29th day of December in the year 2023. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. With more nurses leaving the public healthcare system to take up jobs offers abroad, the Ministry of Health today stated that a total of 4,000 nurses are needed to meet the existing and future needs of the country's healthcare sector. The Ministry of Health intends to intensify the training of nurses, with a plan to train at least 1,000 nurses per year for the next 4 years to fill the gap. In the interim, the ministry will hire an additional 200 nurses from Cuba in 2024 as it battles a severe shortage of nurses. Hundreds of Guyanese nurses are taking up jobs in other parts of the world, in places such as the United Kingdom, Canada, and the Caribbean region. At a press conference today, the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, said despite government's best efforts to retain its nurses, many are opting to leave.
We have taken several measures in trying to retain our staff. So one of the measures has been increasing in salary. That started early this year. A registered nurse used to get maybe about 110,000. That has been increased to about 160,000. A staff nurse, midwife, the salary has gone up to about 220,000. Nevertheless, we have recruiters that are coming into Guyana and actively recruiting people from here.
He said while the government cannot stop nurses from leaving, it intends to redouble its efforts to train more persons to become nurses and nursing assistants. It was explained that traditionally, the nursing schools at Georgetown, Linden, and New Amsterdam would train between 200 and 250 nurses annually. However, in 2022, the Health Ministry launched a hybrid nursing program, which is designed to train some 1,100 nurses. As is the case with the traditional program, the trainees will undergo 3 years of training. However, the theoretical aspect is being conducted virtually, while the practical sessions will be done at 6 simulation centers. In 2024, another 1,000 persons will be admitted for training.
We want to train at least 1,000 every year for the next 4 years. Once we are able to do that, then we'll have enough nurses for the system that we are designing. And we'll continue training. The
Minister of Health said there is no shortcut, explaining that even with thousands of nurses being trained each year, they're still required to complete a 3-year program before being admitted into the system. In the interim, Guyana has turned to Cuba for help.
With nurses also, apart from those that we have in training, we have also expanded the recruitment from Cuba, and so we have brought in at least 80 nurses from Cuba this year, and by early next year we are expecting another 200 nurses to come in. We are also looking at other countries where we can recruit nurses from, and again, this is an ongoing process.
The Ministry of Health is also expanding its nursing assistant program, and come January next year, it will commence the training of 1,000 persons as nursing assistants. Those nursing assistant trainees will undergo 1 year of training. The Ministry of Health is also training hundreds of pharmacy assistants, community health workers, and laboratory technicians, among other key personnel within the health sector. More news coming up in just a moment.
Guyanese Christmas, wishing you are here.
Top up, activate a data plan, pay your monthly GTT bill to enter for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners over 6 weeks. That's 60 winners in total, with one lucky winner from every week having a chance to win the Mega Million Grand Prize. See personal details. It's the GTT Mega Million Christmas promotion. GTT, Guyana's largest and most reliable network.
We're sporting until we drop.
Oh my lord, I just love to shop in this store. My customers, them gonna love all these things. So many different things in one place. Household items, electronics, toys, stationery, confectionery, exercise equipment, shoes and clothes for men, women, and children, school things, costume, jewelry, perfume, makeup. Oh, look, the makeup!
Giftland Office Max, Guyana's favorite department store.
It's your time to win big. The Massey Store's Christmas jackpot promotion is back and bigger than before. Spend $5,000 at any Massey Stores to be the lucky winner of a brand new MGZS and fantastic weekly store prizes from now until January 31st, 2024. What are you waiting for? Head to your nearest Massey Stores to shop now. See our Facebook and Instagram pages for more details. Massey Stores, our family serving your family.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true, or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Bust the flavors. We're full of flavors. Bust the flavors, that me crave for. We're full of flavors. Tell your neighbors about the bust the flavors. Grab a bust the flavors. Yeah, thirst buster. Grab a buster. Bust the flavor, taste the savor. Bust the flavors. Bust the flavors.
Welcome back. Let's tell you now that an investigation into the deadly Christmas morning fire, which claimed the lives of a Linden woman and her two nieces, has found that the fire was maliciously set. Police investigators are now expected to treat their investigation as a murder case. Fire Prevention Officer Sheldon Sons told News Source that after a thorough examination of the debris and all available evidence provided to the Guyana Fire Service, it is conclusive that the fire was maliciously set by a person or persons unknown. 30-year-old Kezia Lawrence Bailey was at home with her two nieces, 16-year-old Angelique Lawrence and 8-year-old Renika Lawrence, when tragedy struck. The bodies of the three were discovered close to the back door of the house, indicating that they were trying to get out of the burning building when they collapsed and died. A post-mortem examination conducted on the bodies found that all three died from smoke inhalation. Fire investigators were at the scene of the blaze over the past 3 days, going through the rubble and gathering additional evidence. The fire service in Linden responded promptly to the emergency call for help on Christmas morning, when smoke was seen coming from the house. The firemen were able to douse the building quickly, but by the time they got into the house, the woman and the two young girls were already dead. The nurse reportedly went home from a late-night shift at the hospital to be with her two nieces who were visiting her for the Christmas holidays. The Linden community has been left shocked and devastated by the tragedy. Police investigators are expected to question the dead woman's estranged husband about the blaze. The couple recently separated, and the wife obtained a restraining order while complaining about repeated threats and abuse from the husband. The two got married just over 2 years ago and shared a young baby. The baby was at a babysitter at the time of the tragedy. The investigations are ongoing. In wake of Venezuela's objection to the presence of a British Navy vessel in Guyana, President Irfaan Ali has stated that neither Venezuela nor any other state has anything to fear from activities within Guyana's sovereign territory or waters. The British military vessel is in Guyana for training exercises on security and other issues. Venezuela sees the presence of the military vessel in Guyana as a threat to its territorial integrity. But in a statement on Thursday night, President Irfaan Ali said Guyana harbors no ambitions or intentions to covet what does not belong to it, and Guyana is fully committed to peaceful relations with its neighbors and all countries in the region. The president also noted that Guyana remains fully steadfast in promoting and advancing peace whilst pursuing national development, adding that the country has long been engaged in partnerships with regional and international states aimed at enhancing internal security. The partnerships, he said, do not threaten anyone and are in no way intended to be aggressive or constitute an offensive act against any state. Venezuela continues to claim Guyana's Essequibo region, which amounts to 2/3 of the country. Guyana has repeatedly rejected the claims and in 2018 filed a case before the International Court of Justice, seeking a final settlement and reinforcing the 1899 arbitral award, which settled the border dispute. Tensions flared 2 months ago as Venezuela started a buildup of military personnel close to the border with Guyana and held a referendum seeking to annex Guyana's Essequibo. With international condemnation mounting on Venezuela and the international community rejecting its claims, CARICOM and CELAC stepped in and brought the presidents of the two countries together for a face-to-face meeting in St. Vincent.
Come 1966, when independence is now to be gained from the colonial master, we saw Venezuela upping the ante in relation to what it can now do to a small country on its eastern border. And it started all the activities, and I'll name a couple, which not only was a violation of our territorial integrity, but also was an undermining of our investment prospects in that almost 3/5 of Guyana. I am glad that we signed a deal with ExxonMobil that had geopolitical advantages about it, although a number of people said that it was the most rotten deal that we ever did. We are going to see the benefit of it.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
The Ghana Elections Commission, GECOM, has announced that it will commence a claims and objections exercise from next Tuesday regarding entries on the preliminary list of electors, PLE, to produce an official list of electors. As a result, the PLE has been posted at prominent locations in all the registration division and subdivisions at all GECOM permanent registration offices countrywide. It explained that during this exercise, any person who has attained the age of 18 years and older by the 31st of December 2023 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or registration, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for more than a year, can make a claim to entry on the official list of electors, OLE, on or before January 15, 2024, providing that he or she is not listed in the preliminary list of electors. GECOM said persons desirous of making a claim to be included in the official list of electors are required to visit the GECOM registration office responsible for their area of residence with the required source documents, such as an original birth certificate, valid passport, adoption certificate, Form F or naturalization certificate of registration to be registered for inclusion. Persons who need to update their registration records to facilitate a change or correction to their names and occupation, or to apply for a transfer, are advised that they too can apply for such transaction during the exercise. Objections against the inclusion of names in the PLE can be tendered to the registration officer responsible for the respective area from January 2, 2024 to January 22, 2024. The Elections Commission is urging all eligible electors to use the opportunity to get registered for inclusion in the OLE, and for existing registrants to check the PLE to ensure their particulars as stated in the PLE are accurate. Breast cancer remains the #1 type of cancer that is affecting persons in Guyana, according to the Ministry of Health. Cervical cancer and prostate cancer are the other two leading cancers that have been diagnosed locally. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony made a disclosure during a press conference today as he renewed calls for persons to get screened.
This year we diagnosed 161 persons with breast cancer. This accounted for 17% of all cancers diagnosed this year. So this is something we have to work more on in terms of reducing this burden, and one way of doing that is that we have to encourage people to get screened and get screened early.
The health minister is urging women who are 40 years and older to get mammograms done. He said in cases where there may be increased risk owing to other family members being diagnosed, women should get screened from as early as 30 years old. Currently, there's a single mammogram machine at the Georgetown Public Hospital. However, the ministry is working to source an additional 3 to be placed at the hospitals in New Amsterdam, Linden, and West Demerara. It was further disclosed that, like breast cancer, cervical cancer remains of significant concern, with more than 100 diagnoses recorded for this year.
The second most prevalent cancer among women is cervical cancer. This year we have diagnosed 102 persons with cervical cancer, and this is approximately 11% of the cancers that was diagnosed for this year. Again, as we have been saying, there is a very cheap and effective method in preventing cervical cancer, and that is HPV vaccination. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not taking the HPV vaccine.
Under the new CDC guidelines, children ages 9 to 15 can be administered a single dose of the HPV vaccine, while children 16 years and older can be administered 2 doses of the vaccine at a 6 months interval. It was noted that in the case of men, the country has seen an increase in prostate cancer, with some 107 diagnoses recorded for 2023. The health minister said the figure accounts for 11% of all cancers detected for 2023. To combat the disease, the ministry will be launching a program to treat with prostate cancer in 2024. Dr. Anthony said his ministry has updated its cancer registry and is now able to provide more accurate data. Additionally, he said the ministry has been working earnestly to reduce the turnaround time in terms of diagnostics.
Being able this year to have a turnaround time in terms of diagnostics. In the past, it used to be that in some cases when we take a biopsy, it probably takes about 3 months, sometimes longer, for people to get back the results. And you can imagine the anxiety that people would be feeling. At the Georgetown Hospital, we have now been able to reduce that to less than a week.
To further reduce the time, the ministry intends to introduce telepathology, which is a technique used to study histopathology slides from a distance. According to the minister, the equipment has already been sourced, and a section of the Georgetown Hospital is being transformed into a lab to capture the high-resolution images of the samples. The government and the opposition are once again exchanging words over discrimination in Guyana, with Vice President Bar Jagdeo accusing the APNU of using racial discrimination to drum up support and divide the country. During a press conference on Thursday, Mr. Jagdeo said while he does not doubt that discrimination exists in Guyana, it is not institutionalized as the opposition has alleged. He claimed that not a single case of discrimination against the government has been filed with the Ethnic Relations Commission, ERC.
If there was such a big set of discrimination in this country, you can use the two mechanisms that are there to address this, the ERC or our courts. And I would urge them to do that, but they are not interested in finding real cases of discrimination where they exist. And I'm not saying they do not exist. I'm saying that it's not institutionalized, because the People's Progressive Party has ensured that we work to make sure that all of our institutions serve all of our people.
Mr. Jagdeo also described the parties that make up the APNU as race-based parties. He said those parties are bent on creating division in Guyana. But in a statement today, the APNU rejected the accusations made by the Vice President and said it has repeatedly advocated that instead of the two main political parties persisting in only blaming each other on this matter, it would be more beneficial to the country for concrete proposals to be implemented on reversing the slide into political dictatorship and on combating discrimination. To address the issue of discrimination, the opposition said the government should implement an ethnic impact assessment as a requirement for every major government program or policy. The APNU said such assessments would identify and mitigate or eliminate problems that may unduly create or exacerbate racial and other inequalities. Additionally, the opposition party believes the revamp of the Fiscal Transfer Act to provide for the formulation and implementation of objective criteria for the purpose of the allocation of resources to local democratic organs would need to be addressed. The opposition has repeatedly accused the government of discriminatory practices in a number of its policies and in the hiring of contractors for government work.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Gaya's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Gaya Oil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor of the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true, or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Look who's in the mix now. The new Buster Soda Water. 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 artificial flavors. 100% refreshing. Taste Buster Soda Water today. Buster Soda Water. Now available for only $120.
Across the region tonight, a shooting in Trinidad last night claimed the lives of 2 people, including a pregnant woman and a teenager, while 2 others were hurt. The victims were identified as Amy Walcott, 21, and Roshan Ali, 16, a student of Valencia Secondary School. According to Trinidad Guardian, the other victims were identified as 18-year-old Daniel Ali Bocas, who was shot in the palm of his hand and chest, and a 12-year-old boy, yet to be identified, who was shot in his mouth and hand. They are presently warded at hospital in stable conditions. According to reports, around 9:30 p.m., police responded to a report of a shooting at Zone 8, Mount Zion Road, Arima. When they arrived on the scene, they found Walcott on a bed inside a single-room wooden house with an apparent gunshot injury to her forehead. She showed no signs of life. Ali was seen lying on the floor with gunshot injuries. He was taken to hospital but subsequently died. The 2 other victims were also taken to a hospital nearby. Homicide officers are conducting their investigations and an arrest is imminent. Argentina's new president, Javier Milei, has withdrawn the country from its planned entry into the expanding BRICS Club of Nations. In a letter to the leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, Mr. Milei said decisions taken by the previous government had been revised. The BRICS countries are often seen as a counterweight to the Western-led world. Argentina was among 6 countries expected to join the grouping next month. It would have been admitted to the bloc's club on January 1, alongside Egypt, Iran, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Its change of heart comes after Mr. Milei, a populist right-wing outsider, won a surprise election victory in November with radical pledges to overhaul the South American nation's ailing economy. And finally tonight, international news. At least 30 people have been killed in what Ukraine says is Russia's biggest missile bombardment of the war so far. According to the BBC, more than 160 people were injured as Russia hit Kiev, Odessa, Kharkiv, and Lviv in the early hours of Friday morning. Russia used nearly every type of weapon in its arsenal, with homes and a maternity hospital hit, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said. Ukraine's Air Force said it had never seen so many missiles launched at once. Kiev's air defensives have been drastically improved in recent months, but on Friday they were overwhelmed. An Air Force spokesperson said Russia used hypersonic and ballistic missiles, including X-22 type, which were difficult to intercept. The Air Force said 114 of the 158 missiles and drones had been shot down. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.